Well, hi, everybody. This is talk about coping with our feelings. And for those of you who are new to the broadcast, a big welcome to you, whether you are shadow watching in the background here or whether you are watching on the replay. Just to let you know, Dear Mama Sal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week. The times I'm going to give you are broadcast times on the Pacific Coast, which is where I live. And that it would be noon for this broadcast, the Coping with Feelings broadcast. We do another one on a Friday evening, 7 o'clock Pacific time, which is Coping with Life. And then a third one, which we do on a Sunday afternoon at 3:30 Pacific, which we talk about coping with stress. And first of all, just hi to Jody, who is our admin and does a lot of work to support the viewers, and also to Sandy, who's here at the moment. And thank you all for being here. Just a word to let you know that this is now the third move that I have done in as many weeks. And I think I'm correct in that. And I'm sort of still not done, if you know what I mean. For those of you who don't know, I had a house fire about 3 weeks ago, and it caused me to have to leave my home, and I probably won't go back to live in my home for another, they reckon, 6 months, maybe 9. And so I've been trying to get myself a place to live for that length of time. And I've done sort of 2 hotels, and now I'm in an executive suite. You can probably tell the upgrade already. And what I thought I'd do is this evening at the 7 o'clock broadcast, I thought I'd do a tour of the apartment that I'm in. Now, you're going to wonder when you see the apartment, why would you move? And the reason that I may move one more time is they have offered me a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a walk-in shower, which is a little safer for me. And it has a view of a waterfall and the amenity center, you know, where they have the gym and the swimming pool, all those things that we can't use. So I thought that is what I would do this evening and talk about some of the stress I had about moving into yet another new place. In the meantime, I thought I'd just make sure we all understand that coping, if I can quote Wikipedia, is coping means that we invest our time and our own consciousness effort into solving personal and interpersonal problems in order to try and master, minimize, and tolerate stress, conflict. Well, both stress and conflict. How many of you have found that by concentrating on these matters, your ability to cope has been improving? And I hope that is so. The other thing, we have a group of people who together in a special Facebook group, which we call the fitness group. The fitness we talk about is mental fitness. Are you prepared to be accountable? Are you prepared to put your money where your mouth is, sort of thing? And for example, one of the things I noticed in this last move was that my blood pressure, my resting heart rate, and my blood sugar, I'm pre-diabetic, my blood sugar levels were elevated. And I've had to work pretty hard to get them back under control again. But today, I think if you have a subject about which you'd like me to speak, please feel free to write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. So we are a group of people who care. We at Dear Mama Sal are also a group of people who are continuously growing with each other. You know, when one has a joyful thing, and you will hear about some of those during the broadcast, then we share it. And when somebody has a tough time, and you will hear about some of those during the broadcast, we all share it. So we're like an extended family, but in helping one another, we all grow. I wanted to just give a start out here to my feelings of great joy, no doubt about it, on hearing that Lauren's ultrasound came out okay. Now, I did put out thoughts and prayers for Lauren on having an ultrasound, but I didn't tell anybody what it was. And it was, should I put it this way? I have to be careful the words I use because I'm on YouTube. Let's say it was a chest x-ray, but it was a scan, an ultrasound scan. And it turned out that the lump that she had was a bruise. And I want to tell you something. Talk about waiting to exhale. I am certain that Lauren and the rest of us all exhaled with her. But again, one of the things that is really important to know is when something like that happens to you, you can worry yourself sick for 2 days if that's what you want to do. That's your choice. Or you can say, until I hear otherwise, it is fine. And I really have learned that that's a great way to deal with it. Until I hear otherwise, it is fine. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't think about it, because that wouldn't be realistic. But you don't need to get yourself into a complete and utter chaos mode, worrying yourself sick, because worrying yourself sick is not going to change whatever the outcome is. In fact, if anything, worrying yourself sick causes half the problems that we have. And from the mailbox, I also wanted to report back some feelings of great joy in hearing about Jeannie's great success. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jeannie is one of our viewers who had also had a house fire, but hers totally gutted her house. I was lucky. I only did $100,000 worth of damage to my house. But Jeannie's house was totally gutted down to the basement. And she is doing the same as I am. She's living in an apartment until her house is rebuilt. And one of the things that she did in the apartment building, they had an appreciation day. What a great idea to have in an apartment dwelling. And what she did was she entered in a cake. And she'd asked us all for ideas about what she could do. And I don't know if she took any of our ideas, because she cooked a magnificent cake and it came in joint first. So very proud. I have great feelings of pride. I don't know why. One of my viewers came in joint first on a cake baking competition. Actually, it wasn't, I think it was a dessert baking competition. And not only did she come in first, but she got $50 for that coming in at that level. And she said, and I think it's really important that we share this, she said to us that I only entered because the DearMamaSal family gave me courage. How about that? How do you all feel about that? Now, that wasn't all that made me smile this week and give me great joy. Jeannie also went on to tell me, and for some of you who've been watching the broadcast, you know that I stunned myself by finding out I could go up 4 flights of stairs, up 4 floors. That would be 8 half floors, because normally staircases that do half a flight and then you turn and then do the next bit. Anyway, I came up 4 floors without holding on to the stairwell rail at all. And apparently Jeannie decided that she would try that. And she said she managed to walk up a flight of stairs twice, without holding on. And she walked up 1 flight, turned around, came down without holding the stairs as well, holding the rail. And so I'm hoping that this will challenge more people to try it. It's actually amazing. And the reason why I think it's a great idea, if you happen to have a staircase anywhere near you, it is a great idea for us getting some exercise in the winter. If you can't get outside because it's too cold, too snowy, too whatever, there are 2 things that I do for winter exercise. One is, actually, I should say this. When I get up in the morning and I'm making coffee, I open up all the doors so that fresh air gets into my world. How many of you do that? I just wonder if anybody else does that. I like to get some fresh air, because the air overnight, becomes stale and whatever, and especially now living in an apartment building. So that's one thing that I do. I find now that part of my exercise is to walk the staircase. And I even do that to go take my garbage down 4 floors. I do it to go for a walk. I walk down the 4 floors, just trying not to use the elevator more than I have to. Why? Because the more that I walk like that up and down stairs, the more mobile I will remain. The other thing is I found out this week that walking down, and this made me excited, walking down the 4 flights, going and dumping the garbage or whatever I happen to have with me, and then doing the circuit here, which, by the way, is uphill around and then downhill again, is actually half a mile. And so I'm going, that's a good exercise to do as well as, but obviously if it gets snowy, and we're expecting snow in some areas, if it gets snowy and icy, I won't be walking up and down hills here for fear that I will fall, but I can go up and down staircases. The next thing, interesting, Jodie's saying, I make sure to get fresh air twice a day. When Lionel takes their little fluff ball Taily out, I watch them in the doorway for a few minutes or however long I can stand. Yes, I think it's a good routine to get into, Jodie. And, you might even try walking while you stand there, just to lift one leg and then the other. I found without a doubt that retirement and getting out of wearing shoes every day, I don't know about the rest of you, but I found when I retired, I was walking around in without shoes on or just in socks or, sort of flip-flops or something, but not wearing shoes. And what I found was, number one, I started to get tremendous swelling of my feet. My ankles collapsed and were swollen. I had lots of foot problems. And then what I did is I bought myself a pair of these, with really good sponge support here. And by the way, they're not meant to be clogs. They were meant to be like that, but I wear them like this. And I have put orthotics, those are the support things for your arch, into all of the shoes that I had. Obviously, you all understand all of my shoes are in some storage area being de-smoked from the smoke. But what I have, the shoes, actually these shoes are the shoes I was wearing during the fire. But my other shoes that I bought to cope while I was waiting for my stuff to be cleaned, I've got orthotics in all of them, and I really recommend that. That's good to hear. Jeannie, I was just talking about all your great successes with the cake and with your exercise. Well done. And Jeannie's adding, Misty, that's her dog. Her sutures are all out and she was groomed yesterday. She must look much better. And Jodie's saying, I saw Misty's picture, Jeannie, and she looks healthy and happy. Isn't that lovely? Now I've got another, just before we get into the other feelings, I got another one from the mailbox, and I thought you guys would like to hear this as well. This came from Stephanie, and I don't know, Stephanie is a viewer that I think comes in under a different name, and I can't remember what name that is. Anyway, she said, I'm so bummed I wasn't able to view this live. This was one of the broadcasts from Friday, and she said, every time I watch one of your videos, I'm so thankful that I stayed tuned. It's exactly what I needed to hear, like usual. Isn't that lovely? As well as you, I'm a firm believer that people come across in our lives at times. There's a logical reason as to why it happens to us, even though at the time we may question its purpose. I'm really a great believer. Don't worry if people come in and out of your lives. They're there to teach you something either good or something bad, I've discovered. And then they can be gone. Some people are there, some for a season, and some, as you know, are there for a lifetime. And also, I'm a great believer, everything that happens to us is part of our learning, the stuff we need to learn. I truly believe that both Jeannie and I have stuff we need to learn, and that's why we needed to lose what we valued, and so it's really important. So anyway, she went on to say, at times it's almost felt as though I was on a crazy roller coaster of changes. How many of you can relate to that? I went from being a single mom of 2 at a young age, going to college full-time at night and working full-time during the day. It's pretty busy, right? Back then, afraid of change. When my girls were 3 and 5, I met a man. I'm going to stop right there, right? I met a man. And that changed our lives forever in so many good ways. That gives me tears. Because I went through years of a very abusive marriage just a few years prior, and I was barely learning who I was all over again. But I followed my gut, and after listening to my heart, we married, and a few years later, we had another child. It's not good for the makeup, right? Which blessed our lives so much. And then unexpectedly had teenagers starting to go through their own personal struggles, which led our family to intense, difficult times. Any of you that have had teenagers, you know of what she speaks. To sum up my life story, our youngest is 7 and I'm now homeschooling and have an 18-year-old who's just starting to drive, and our oldest is 21 and expecting our first grandson in just a few weeks. 15 years now married, and we're all going through historic pandemic, and we're trying to learn to cope. My entire life has been full of change, bad, confusing, crazy, painful, sad, happy at times, traumatic, and yet I still feel truly blessed for being able to breathe in life and love. And love all my family and friends who have been on my journey with me, going through all my change. So thank you, Mama Sal, for your thoughts and words of strength and wisdom, because it does just show me that I have so much to feel thankful for when it does come to change. Isn't that beautiful? And, to me, as you know, I've always said, hi, Mama, I've always said that if what I do in any broadcast makes one person's life a little bit better, then it's worth doing another one. And obviously, you're in for at least 2 more videos from me because actually, I would say that's 3. Because of what came in the mailbox and the comments that I've received on the videos that we've done. So please remember, keep the comments coming below, because that actually encourages me to keep doing what I do. Just so you know, the birthdays this week of our viewers, and that always makes us happy. We're not quite sure when Nada's birthday is, but we know it was in October, or is still in October. So I keep saying it every week in October so that we don't miss it. Kerry has a birthday at the end of the month, on the 31st on Halloween. And the other thing is, just a heads up, that Lauren goes in for another ultrasound, I believe on her shoulder. I'm not sure if it's left or right. And she does that next week. So just so that you all know about that. Make sure you follow us. Click the bell here. Thumbs up here. First, thumbs up if you find the broadcast of value to you. And the reason for that, it helps tell YouTube that this is a channel that people find valuable. And so if every time you give it a thumbs up, and feel free to give it more than one, every time you give it a thumbs up, it helps them understand that this is a channel of value. The other thing is click on the bell. It's going to ask you, do you want to be advised of notifications? And I would recommend that you say yes to all, because then whenever I announce anything on here, you will make sure that you get it. And it just puts it directly into your inbox so you don't miss it. And if you haven't followed us on Twitter and Facebook, I would recommend it, because I always give you 30 minutes warning that we're going to do a broadcast. And so I don't know how many of you enjoy that, and you're getting that just quick update. Hello, you got 35 minutes to get your stuff together because we're about to do a broadcast. But I'm a great believer that I certainly would like 30 minutes warning to go get my stuff together and my beverages and snacks and whatever. So just make sure you follow us. And I do use Facebook as our sort of newsletter, if you like. When if I got any news about anybody, if I need thoughts and prayers for one of the viewers, I will put it up there. Okay, so next, let's have a look at, we're going to be talking about feelings, but before I get really into it too much, I just want to make sure that you all know that the comments you're going to hear are those of me as a human being, those of me as somebody who's lived 73 years of her life and has a little bit of experience. I am not a licensed, trained, whatever. I'm just a human being that's been through a lot. And so what you're going to hear is my view on stuff. The other thing is, if ever you need help one-on-one, please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And I will try and set up an appointment for you so that we can talk privately one-on-one. And the other thing is, if you know anybody that's going through an important interview of any sort, please make sure that they know that I actually help people with interviews. What I help people with is their voice tones and the way they answer questions. And it doesn't really matter what they're applying for. My whole goal in life is to get people, if quite honestly, if you've already got the interview, they like your stuff. Now they want to know if they like you. That's what the interview is about, if you understand it. And so therefore, I help people hone their skills about a one-on-one interview, because a lot of people don't realize how to answer questions in a way that makes them, really stand out. They don't know how to answer questions about which they have absolutely no knowledge or very little, and I try to help people with things like that. So there you go. First thing I wanted to talk about now is coping with new habits. I wonder if any of the viewers that are online at the moment have had to cope with any new habits this week. And while you are thinking about that and typing in any comments you may have, and I would be glad to hear from the people who are watching but not in the chat at the moment, glad to hear from you as well. Anything that you've done this week that makes you think you're coping with some new habits. And the reason I wanted to talk about that was obviously that would be the understatement for me. I'm not only learning to live out of a suitcase or two. Actually, I've progressed. If you think about it, I started off after the fire in the clothes that I stood up in and my computer equipment. It was amazing to me, and it still is, that what I took out of the house, the first things I took out of my house were my computers, my tablet, my phone, my lighting, my laptops, 2 laptops. And then I sent the fire people in to get my wallet and and my passport, and I had some cash stashed away. It was so funny. I'm going that when I left that house, I tell you, I just literally grabbed everything and threw it into a bag that I had, a tote, and I just took it all outside. But isn't that funny? But now I've moved 3 times, and you understand that each time I move, I've got to relearn. What do you do with the garbage? because every new place I go to, there are different things to do. And, in this new place that I've come to, it's got a very interesting way, very secure way to get into and out of the building. For example, when you drive in, it's not just one gate you have to activate. There are two gates that you have to activate to get into the parking. You come through a sort of one level, and then there's another gate to get into the deeper level. And so you can imagine that that's very difficult. And they're hanging, it's a fob that's hanging on my keychain, but, I've already got another fob on there. So it gets, have I got the right fob? It's difficult to do it without, especially, if you're not that coordinated. And then, of course, I've had to find out new walking routes and things like that. So I'm coping with quite a bit of change. And I'm going to show you a lot of the change in the video that I will put down this evening about the house itself, because I thought what I do is I go through each room and show you some of the idiosyncrasies that I've come across. In the meantime, Jodie's saying, I'm adjusting to a medication change. Yes. So that's a new habit. And it's remembering to take it 2 times a day instead of 1 time. And dealing with the side effects while trying to still accomplish what I need to do in a day. Now, first of all, Jodie, I need to let everybody know that, you've had huge success in adjusting what you do and the way you eat enough to come off insulin. And I really, I don't care how many times I repeat that. I think that is an incredible achievement. And so, yes, so now that she's come off insulin, Jodie now has to take medication twice a day instead of once a day. But Jodie, you must be so proud of yourself. And Jeannie's saying, I'm still talking to people to tell them where you're located. Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? I think I'm busy trying to remember to pick up my mail, my voicemail from my house on a regular basis. So now what I've done, Jeannie, is I've set up, I will visit 2 times a week to pick up my mail and deal with stuff at the house, which is really good. Jodie's saying, thank you. Couldn't have done it without your support. Well, something, Jodie, you've taught us so much about your eating habits, and it's helped so many. Look at me, Jodie. My blood sugar after the move was way wrong. And I just literally want to thank you for the support, because I was feeling out of control. It was like the first time since I started measuring myself that I couldn't get my blood sugar under control. But what I realized is it's only under control if I'm doing the same things. All right. And then that made me think. I was confused for a couple of days, Jodie. And then I thought about, what are you not doing that you were doing at home before the fire? Because that's what you need to work out. I realized I was taking Metamucil once a day. I realized that I was walking more, and doing things. So I just said, okay, fine. You are going to spend a week doing all the right things and see if your numbers come down. And sure enough, they did. So I was really happy with it. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of a tip about dealing with new habits. For example, I've always said to you, take 1 step at a time. Don't try and change everything. Wait a minute. Jodie's just saying, you were never out of control, just under stress. You never went off the rails or used it as a crutch. Thank you, Jodie. I don't like doing that, as you know. I don't believe in, I keep saying, funny enough, I was talking about it with my neighbors over dinner last week, Jodie, which is, when is it an excuse and when is it a fact? And so whenever I say something, I have to ask myself, is this a fact or an excuse? And is it a factual excuse? I found that sometimes you can give a fact, but it's also an excuse. I mean, it's a fact that I moved, but is it also an excuse? Yes, because unless I do the things that change it, it's not going to happen. So, but I thank you for your kindness, but I understand that moving could have pushed up my numbers. But the only thing, saying that moving pushed up my numbers isn't going to change them necessarily until I settle down, get enough sleep. That's another thing. Getting enough sleep, eating better, more color in the food, all those things. When I do all of those things, then I know it's going to be better again. And you taught me all of them. So, no, Benji taught me about the color of the food, right? The more colors you have on the plate, the healthier it is. So I quite often look at my food. I've now got a habit, and I was talking about this last week, where I still like mac and cheese. I'm always going to eat mac and cheese. And I've been challenging myself, how could I make it more healthy? And now what I'm doing is I'm actually making my cheese sauce. I literally blend in a cup of vegetables and completely blend it in so you can't see that there are any vegetables. And I then add more vegetables to the mac and cheese. So not only are the vegetables in the sauce, but I then add chopped up vegetables to it. And like I said, Jeannie's saying your picture is out of focus. Are you the one you're looking at right now? I'm not sure which picture. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that is not from my side, unless everybody else has got a problem as well. You're saying the video is out of focus, is that correct? You understand I am in an apartment building with high-speed internet, but I am pretty certain that it's not going to be perfect. All right, thanks for letting me know, guys. So it righted itself. There you go. Life's like that, all right? So remember, when you're dealing with change, to take one step at a time. And for example, the first day that I moved in here, I concentrated on getting everything set up and the inventory that I had to go through to find out, did I have the things that they said should be in the apartment. One of the things I found out was they have the inventory that I was meant to have 4 placemats, and I only have 2. Not a major, but I needed to make sure they knew that. I found all sorts of little gremlin things, like I'll talk about it tonight when I do the house thing. But anyway, the second day I concentrated on the equipment. I checked out, how do I make ice? Well, there was, so we'll talk about that. How do I do the washing? How do I use the dishwasher? Right. So that was the equipment day, was the second day. And by the way, you will see that it's really nicely kitted out. It's got a lot of stuff in it. And then the third day, I did the garbage, recycling, all those sort of things. Where does all that happen? So I didn't try to do it all in one day. I just took each day that I sort of concentrated on one area. And how many of you have found that, just cutting things into smaller chunks stops you overwhelming? The other thing is, it was like there's so many new things when you move into a new apartment. And so the next thing I want to talk about is coping with stress, and we'll be doing more about that on Sunday. But just, I wanted to ask you as viewers, are you dealing with any extra stress this week? And if so, let's hear about it and let's discuss it too. And I thought I'd talk to you about the stress I had in moving. You understand that I started off, as I said, with just the clothes on my back. and the computer equipment. By the time I did this move, I had plus 3 boxes, fairly big boxes. Now, the reason for that is obviously I've bought clothes. Obviously, I have food in, that I've been accumulating. So I had food to move this time. I had got things from my house, so that was extra stuff as well. So by the time I moved, I had quite a bit of stuff. Now, you also know that there is no way that I can manipulate, 2 rolling bags and 3 boxes on my own. And so they had arranged for somebody to meet me to not only help me take up some stuff, but also, do a tour around the apartment, which was really kind of them. And the thing was, the cart that he had was not a big one. So even with the 2 of us, we could only take the 2 bags and 2 boxes. It must be more than 3. Anyway, up on the first trip. And so I went up, and that was pretty stressful because I know I've got to go back down again and get the last box. And never mind, it's good exercise. It's what I keep saying to myself, all these extra things, it's good exercise. And then I was shown around the apartment, which I'm going to do with you this evening. But then when he'd finished doing that, his name's Nolan, he very kindly said, well, we need to go down and look where the garbage and everything is now, and then we'll pick up your box or whatever's left in the car. And I thought that was so kind. So he showed me where the garbage and everything went, but finding it 2 days later was quite a challenge. I don't mind telling you. You could sort of go, oh yeah, it's on this floor number, and okay, fine. By the time it was 2 days later, I'm going, what floor is it on? But it was that kind of him. He took me all the way down and then did another load up to help me get everything upstairs. But you can also know, but by the time I possibly move again next week into the 2-bedroom, that could be a whole lot more stress. Why? I've got way more again. Why? Bigger kitchen. I can buy more stuff that I need. I've got a fridge now and a freezer now. This encourages you to buy more stuff. I've been living on a day-to-day basis, basically. So that's all extra stress. And now I'm starting to think about how am I going to get all this stuff over there? Good point. What I heard from my insurance company was, if I need to move everything, I am not meant to be moving it. I just have to let them know I need help moving, and they will send somebody over to help me. We like that. So I just wondered if any of you are having any issues this week about coping with limited funds. Jeannie's saying, yay, better refrigerator and freezer. Yeah, I've got a really nice, and you'll see it this evening, Jeannie. But the one I'm going to is even nicer still. I'm trying to make the decision, and that's also part of my stress, whether to go to the 2-bedroom. The 2-bedroom, much more space. I would think it is almost as big as my home, quite honestly. So it's much bigger. It's on a corner, therefore more windows, no more light. And that is quite important to me because they're laminate floors. And what I found out, I just happened to say, you don't happen to know who will be above me. And I was told, yes, it's a cop. Now, I don't know about you. As soon as I heard that I have a cop above me, I'm thinking, that's a cop that wears boots, and cops have a way of walking, right? And I'm going, and he does shifts. So you can imagine there are lots of things where I'm going, if I move and I end up with an elephant above me, would I rather have a smaller place? Yes, walking with authority, exactly. They are taught how to walk with authority. Now, to be fair, I also walk with authority, Jody, but I wear shoes. If I wear shoes in the house, they're not, they're rubberized ones. So, mind you, I think their shoes are pretty rubberized too. Might be okay, right? Jody's saying that she and Lionel are dealing with limited funds. It's stressful, but you're coping pretty well. So what did you find out in terms of adjusting? Because we did talk about this a long time ago, right? Which is be prepared for money to get even more tight. And I would say the same again. And I would suggest that really concentrate on how do you spend less. I'm going to talk this evening about what I've learned already after 3 weeks of living in hotels, because I think I'm looking at everything I do now as a lesson. There's a reason why I need to do this. I need to learn about this. Jody's saying when I walk around my place here that I wear slippers or runners. I wear runners or rubberized soles, yeah. So I've got 2 different pairs of clogs like this, with rubber, and so they're not noisy. I found, funny enough, I did actually find myself walking in my bare feet the other day, and I noticed how noisy that is. And I tried socks, but you didn't want to know what happened to me when I tried wearing socks. I was slipping all over the place, and I could hear a certain admin person cluck, 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 cluck. That's dangerous. And I know what you're saying. If you're going to wear socks, wear ones with the rubber underneath it. Well, I might just as well wear my shoes. Jody's saying getting creative with meals planning is vital. Yes. Also adjusting expectations for the coming holiday season and it's going to look quite a bit different. Yes. I found as well, it was a bit stressful. And it links into the limited funds. When I found out 2 things. Number one, when I went back to the house this week, I actually opened up my fridge. They didn't empty it. And, I had a week's worth of food pre-prepped in my fridge. You can imagine what that looked like. That was pretty stressful. Plus, I didn't have anything to take that food to the organics bin, right? Because I don't have a bin or I don't have a bucket. Actually, I did outside. I forgot about that. All those sort of things. And then I just stopped, right? And this is coping with feelings. As you can probably imagine, I'm going to go, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And I go, just stop. Do it slowly and take as much as you can. And I did. And it's all good exercise. It's all steps that you can take. So I literally loaded up what I could and found what things I could carry it on. I actually took bins out of the fridge to help me with that. And I just literally emptied all the pre-prepping containers and I rinsed them out. And I did have a cleanup crew, but for some reason they didn't touch my fridge. And there's more to this story, Jeannie, so just bear with me. Anyway, and then I just went through the whole of the fridge section and I took out what needed to go. But it left quite a bit, which was the feeling of joy that I wanted to tell you about. Then talking about coping with limited funds, as you know, I kept having these horror stories going through my head about all that food that I had put into cupboards ready for the prices to go up because of the pandemic and how much I had lost. Now, I knew anything in a bottle or in a tin would be okay, but they had said that, anything else, smoke can permeate it. Well, I actually went into the laundry room, which is where I had all that stuff stacked. And guess what? It's there. And the reason it's there is not only was it far away from the main smoke, but also it was in a cupboard. And what they did is they left all those cupboards. I actually phoned the insurance people to find out. And they said, Sal, open the cupboard. If there is soot on the cupboard, don't eat anything in there. But if there is no soot, in other words, if the smoke had got in, there'd be particles of soot. So I just literally opened the first one and I ran my finger across and nothing came up. And I went, I can eat this stuff. And then I found out that all my herbs and spices were still in the drawer. And now I've got my own supermarket. How exciting is that? I can now, I had a big shopping list of what I needed to get this week, and I got most of it out of my own house. And I will continue to do that. So that is both exciting, but here comes the stress again. They told me that what they're going to be doing is winterizing my home. Now, for those of you who don't know, I live in what they call a manufactured home, which is like a giant size trailer. And what happened is that they have to wait now for a permit to rebuild. And I know that in America that might not take very long, but here in Canada, that seems to take a long time. And so what they're going to do, because there's cold weather coming up, is they're going to seal up the house and winterize it. In other words, they're going to turn off, because they don't want the heat going, because there's no insulation anymore. And I said, I'm not totally happy about that. I don't know about you. It's just like, I need some heat in that house because I've still got some plants in that house. And I wanted to put more plants in there. So, work in progress. It's not, if I lose the plants, so be it. By the way, for all of you who remember Tommy the tomato, he's turning red at last. It took a whole season. What can I say? So for those of you who are coping with limited funds, what ideas and options do you need, if any? Let us know, because we're really good at helping people with ideas if they need them. So can you imagine how much money that is going to save me by knowing that I still have my own supermarket now? Yes, and I understand, Jeannie, that had they destroyed it all, then obviously they would have reimbursed. But also there's the time and effort to have to rebuy all of that, Jeannie. And I don't know about you, but there is a double cost. There is the financial cost, and there is also the physical, mental cost. And so for me, I was feeling so happy about that. Jody's saying about Tommy the tomato that I've been growing at home, said he was shy. Now he's feeling more confident and shows his true colors. Yeah, he probably, the temperatures have dropped. He might have lost it. Can I take my plants to the new apartment? Yes, but do I want to bring them all here only to move them again if I move to the other place next? If I move, it'll be on the November the 3rd. Now, here is the other thing that I found out. Oh, Judy's saying she had no herbs and spices. Because all my herbs and spices are either first of all, they're all in either glass metal, which means that they will not have been permeated by smoke, but also they were in a drawer in a kitchen, which was farthest away from the smoke. So I opened up that drawer, and I went across the top to see if there was any soot anywhere, and there wasn't. So they're going to be fine. Yeah, and I actually bought some HP sauce from the house. So hey, not the end of the world. So do I want to bring plants here and then move them again? My attitude was I would rather move them after the third. How about coping with people? Have any of you had any challenges about coping with people this week? I really had great feelings of joy and anger this week. I got an official letter from the management about the shed issue. And so it's getting higher on my list. It's still not at the top. Kimmy's asking, can I still use my appliances? You're talking about in my home? No. Actually, 2 appliances, they put a special run-in for 2 appliances. They kept my deep freeze running and they kept my fridge freezer running. But everything else, my washer, dryer, everything like that is, been disconnected because they will have to scrub them free of smoke. And so that happens later on. Funny enough, the washer dryer is still in the house. They haven't removed them, and I don't know whether they will. Well, that's why I want to show you the house tour here, Jeannie, because it's amazing the stuff that this apartment came with, and fully furnished, and it's amazing how well it's furnished. And I thought you all would like to see that. Just in case you ever need to do what I've done, ask them to put you into an executive suite if you've got the insurance to cover it. So you can imagine getting this letter about the shed again. Just brought it higher up my list. And then Then I decided, this is only as stressful as I want to make it. And myself, what will give me the least stress? Is holding onto the shed going to cause me more stress than I need or less? And what I did do is I got a number of the owner. In other words, not the manager lady who's... And I will be making one call. I've just got to get a few more facts together. But then I will make one call to the owner and say, I just want to be able to confirm that this shed had, because I'm going to get hold of the person that actually owned that house when the shed was put in. But if necessary, I look at it this way. Number one, the insurance people, I spoke to them and said, look, this is as a result of the fire because it came to me the day after the fire. What do I do? And they said, Sal, don't worry. When we finish doing everything else in the house, we will take the shed. We'll break it down and take it if you haven't been able to sell it. So that would be nice. But again, I had my neighbor, who is the handyman around, go into the shed for me and have a look at it and to see how difficult it is to take it apart and move it. And he actually went in and he said, Sal, that shed is light enough that 4 guys could lift it onto a truck. Could move it and lift it onto a truck. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So in other words, you can come and get it, and your choice whether you want to break it down and take it or whether you want to lift it and put it onto a truck, flatbed, and take it, if you've got such a thing. So, one more week, lot more options. I think I might be able to sell it. I've done a bit of research as to what the value of it is. Apparently that size is about $750 Canadian, plus probably another 400, they said, to actually put it together. In other words, the kit arrives, but if you want them to assemble it, then another $400. So, it's at least was originally worth $750. So the question is, how much do I sell it for? And I'm busy doing a little bit of research now, on Facebook Marketplace and places like that. Are any sheds being sold? And if so, what price? So, one step at a time. You know me, I'm just working towards it. But I'm getting closer to it because the deadline to get rid of it is coming closer. Worst comes to the worst. My plan B, worst comes to the worst. 1-800-JUNK is going to get a call, and it may cost me $400 to have them remove it. But you see, the problem will be gone then. And if, that's why I need a call to the owner, because if I can leave it there until the renos are finished and it can go with the renos, then that's great. But if they say no, then I'm going to tell the insurance company, don't let me keep it that long. I have to have it removed, and maybe they will pay for it because it is related to the fire. I want to tell you something, Jeannie. I know how useful. I've got a big storage. That's my other problem. I've got a second storage shed. So, we will see. The other thing about feelings about people is that I went to the house on Wednesday to go and do some stuff. I can't have my shed because apparently I'm only meant to have one and I've got two. But the reason I need to talk to the owner is because my other one is bigger than their prescribed size. But again, if they say I have to move the big one, that's definitely going to a lawyer. Because I will play nice up to a point. But if you want me to get rid of my big shed, by the way, both those sheds are the reason I bought the property, part of the reason, right? I love the storage of it. So if they start getting funny about the big shed, then either I need to, take it to my lawyers and let them deal with it. Now that's going to cost me a whole lot more money and a whole lot more stress. So I'm avoiding that as far as possible. That's why I'm trying to get all my facts together before I make that one call and go, number one, do I have to get rid of it immediately or can I wait until they have finished? I ask for some compassion because I'm going to try and sell it, but I'm trying to deal with a house fire at the moment and I've got too many things on the go at the same time. And then I need it in writing that my bigger shed is not going to be asked to be removed. Because if so, I should have been advised of that when I purchased, and I wasn't. So the kind people that went to go and visit the house this week, I was, doing all the stuff with emptying the fridge, and it was pretty nasty. And I was a bit stressed because I got the letter had been, stuck in the door. Well, I don't live there anymore. Anyway, so then I went to go and see my neighbor and get a hug. And guess what? She said, it is just time for you to sit down and have some dinner. I said, no, it's fine. And she said, sit down, we're going to feed you. Wasn't that kind? And not only did they feed me and the neighbor, the other side of them, but then they insisted I stay to play on the Wii. And Jeannie's asking, did I receive the package you sent? No, it's on my list to go to the mailbox. I don't get that mail directly to my house. I have to go to a special mailbox. And I was meant to go yesterday, but things happened and I couldn't. So it's on my list. I will probably go Monday or maybe tomorrow. I'll see how I do. Anyway, so we ended up having a great meal, and then we ended up playing Wii again and the bowling. And I'm pleased to say that I was the winner for the night. But they carried on playing after I left, and apparently Betty Ann beat my score. Now, it becomes personal. I'm going to have to get my Wii into my new place if I move again and start practicing. All right. So have any of you had any fun feelings or sad feelings about people this week? Has anybody upset you this week, or has anybody made you feel loved the way I was? I had the good and the bad this week. Jeannie's saying, I love the competition. Oh yeah, it's really quite funny. Because I noticed that they all had a certain score, but when I come to play, it seems to up all their scores. And I don't think I'm particularly good, but I do seem to be able to do quite well at it. Jody's saying about Betty Ann's score on the bowling. If you didn't see it, it didn't happen. Unfortunately, Jody, I did see it because she took a picture on the screen and sent me the picture. So yes, I did see it. And by the way, I think I did take a picture of it. Hold on a second. But I might have moved it to my computer. That's what worries me. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Because I wanted to show you they've got an avatar. I've already moved it onto the computer. Pity. Anyway, I got they made a special avatar for me. Avatar, and it's got eyeshadow and lipstick. I don't know why I found that so cute. They go, so we found the perfect avatar for you. And I said, really? And they said, yeah, and here it is with the eyeshadow and the bright lipstick. And I went, oh, that's how they see me. So anybody have any stories of kind people in their life this week and how you felt about them? Let me know. In the meantime, moving right along, I wanted to just give an idea. Jody's saying, and I hope the avatar has a great smile. Can't remember, Jody, but when I find the picture, I will show you. This is the amazing thing about, I am being blessed with a lot of kindness, other than the shit, a lot of kindness at the moment. For example, the owners of these executive suites, and by the way, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, but 6 or 8 buildings, and most of them I think are owned, but some of them are rented out as executive suites. And what they said was they're actually going to let me go and see the 2-bedroom suite and actually be in it before I have to decide and pack up. So on the 2nd of November, they're going to let me go in there and then get a feeling. Does it feel like home? And I've said to them, it doesn't even need to be tidy from the previous person, or whatever. I can wear a mask and it doesn't have to be totally sanitized. But what I want to know is, does it feel more at home? I feel very much at home here, and you will see why when I do the walkthrough tonight. All right, so Jody's saying Lyle and her friends kept me going with extra support and encouragement this week. I am so grateful. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how much a little bit of support can make such a difference. And so does cold coffee. Have I really been talking so much I haven't been drinking my coffee? Okay, so don't you think that's really nice of them? That before I see the other place, they're not going to ask me to make that decision. How kind is that? That means they're going to hold up knowing which one of the 2 suites is going to be available. And then I'm pretty sure, they will do what they can to help me move stuff over. Or I can call the insurance company to help me. So I won't know if I'm moving or not until November the 2nd. So at the moment, I'm working on the principle, because what I said to them, I do not want to pack everything up and have it ready to move, only to find out I don't want that place when I actually walk into it. Does that make sense to everybody? See, that's my critical thinking was, what if, what if, what if? I always ask myself that question. What if I get there and I don't want it? I would rather have this one. And then I said, I need to see it before I move. And I need to see it before I pack. Does that make sense? Because can you imagine if I packed everything up ready to move again and then said, no, I don't want to move. And then I have to unpack it all again. No. Get smart. Don't pack until you definitely know you're going to move. So, don't you love that ringtone? Any problem is, let me just check if it's anything that I need to be aware of. Don't think so. All right, so it was pretty chaotic this week, one way and another. Jody's saying, yeah, that would be a nightmare to have that happen, yeah. And you see, Jody, that's why I'm always trying to think a couple of steps ahead, what if? And make sure I've got that covered and thought through. I think they call that critical thinking, and I keep saying to you guys that I'm going to do a broadcast about the way that I do my critical thinking, because I get a feeling that you guys enjoy hearing about those steps that I take. So here are the things in terms of the critical thinking that I thought about. And you know me pretty well, guys, so you can probably answer these yourself. The questions I have to consider is, what is more important to me? More light and space, or no one above me? And what about one less move? See, I've got to work out what is more important. Now, I'm thinking about the winter months, and it's a pretty dreary day here today. But I've turned all the lights on. And is it possible to bring in daylight bulbs? Yes. So, that's a possibility. But it is pretty dark in here because my only windows are on the one side. And that was one of the reasons that I liked the idea of a corner unit. But what I'd heard from my buddy is that one of the corners is that the bedroom is on the corner, I think. One of the bedrooms is on the corner. So the light won't necessarily be more in the living room, but I don't know until I get in there and have a look. All right, so you guys are saying that the internet connection is a little bit spotty. If it is, I might ask for an upgrade. Even more so. Just we'll know when we've done a couple of broadcasts. Thanks for letting me know. Understand, Kim, I am in a place where I've never broadcasted from before, so these little things can happen. All right, so Jeannie's saying, yes, she's aware she has people above her with heavy feet. Yeah. And I'm somebody that really likes her quiet. That's why I didn't go into an apartment to start with. And that's why I may make the decision to stay in the smaller space without as much light, is because I don't have anybody above me. We'll see. Anybody coping with any fear this week? Feelings of fear? I definitely had some fear when I woke up yesterday with a cough. You understand, I'm in a new apartment building, and I had fear this week when I found out somebody in this apartment building is in quarantine. And then I woke up yesterday with a cough. Now, I don't know about you, but I was pretty fearful for a second. And then I went, Sal, it's a cough, Other apartments on the bottom floor. There are 4 levels of apartments, Kimmy. I'm not quite sure. There's a reason why you're asking me that question, so help me understand it a bit better. These, I can show you what they look like. Hold on a second, Kimmy. The buildings look like this. See it? Okay. Wow. Kimmy's saying in terms of fear, that she keeps waking up and thinking about dying alone. Is that because of your asthma attacks? Okay, yep. All right, so let's think about that, Kimmy. Is there any way that you can... The apartments are gorgeous. I mean, that's why I want to do a walkthrough with you tonight, because I think you're going to be pretty impressed with it. So my feeling about this, Kimmy, is what could you do? All right. I think any of us that live alone have that level of fear to some degree. I have that fear every now and then. But 2 things. Number one, I am much more conscious now, Kimmy, of having my phone or one of my devices in strategic places. In other words, I want to be able to grab a phone. I don't get into the bathtub, because I use it as a shower, but I don't get into there without making sure that I put my phone on the top of the toilet, right? So if by any chance I happen to fall in the bathtub, for example, that I can reach out and grab my phone. So I'm a lot more careful about security issues. If I died alone, quite honestly, it's not going to affect me. I mean, I don't know why I find that amusing, but it's not a problem for me. It's a problem for other people. So, so tell me what the fear is. Because okay, good. You've already done that. I'm thinking about getting that device that you can push in case of emergency. That was going to be my first. Funny enough, I was going to start with that, and then I remembered you're on a limited budget, and I think you have to pay for that service. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying the same thing. This is where some folks use a buzzer that connects to the emergency place. Yes, but also you got to think about that. You need one that you wear the whole time. You don't need a buzzer in some room because you might not be able to get to the room. But what she's saying, if I hear her correctly, it's not about being immobilized. She's thinking about dying alone, not falling and not being able to get up, but just dying alone. So they're 2 completely different things. So let's make sure we're talking the right thing. Right? So that's why I started by talking about I am more aware of being more conscious of keeping devices close to me so that I can reach them if I were to fall. And also to be aware that, for example, if my tablet is on a countertop, that it's close to the edge. Jeannie's saying that her father-in-law, now deceased, fell in a tub and it helped him. Well, actually, if you fell in a tub, you'd be able to bang against it, and eventually somebody would realize there's something wrong if you know how to do Morse code. You pray that somebody understands Morse code. I assure you that I'm laughing because the washing machine here, I'll talk about why it was even more noisy, but when the person next door to me puts on their washing machine, it is horrific. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just going to have to deal with that. Yeah. So Kimmy, I think anybody who lives alone, and it's a normal fear. All right. The other thing is, I would make sure, for example, if I didn't talk to Jody every day, I'm pretty certain she'd be making a call through to Yvonne. So my question is, do you keep into regular contact with people? And make sure they know that if ever you don't make regular contact, that they should contact this person to check that they're okay. I mean, I know that Jody, because I speak to Jody every day, and she's a mother hen. If I don't speak to her for a couple of hours, she's worried. But I mean, like half a day. But if I didn't speak to her for a whole day, I'm pretty certain that Yvonne would be hearing and saying, I need you to go and check on Sal. Now, she's confirming it. So, you look at it, and I would say, Kimmy, that's a really important thing for you to set up. That if you fell and were on your own, you'd survive 3 days. If you fell, you'd be in pain maybe, but you would survive without food and water for up to 3 days. So the thing is this, you need somebody that you talk to every day. Jeannie's saying, I had a neighbor friend who read her newspaper every day, and after I had passed and seen 2 papers outside, I called her son and found out she'd fallen down the basement steps. Exactly. All right, Kimmy saying, I talk to my daughter every day. Awesome. So your daughter knows that if for any reason you don't talk to her, she needs to, she lives in a different town. Am I correct? You also talk to Jody. Good. And but but unless Jody knows who to contact, that doesn't help. Do you know what I mean? So I made sure that Yvonne, communication is the key, absolutely. So that's the be prepared, not scared, all right? So, and the reason I say this is that Yvonne's daddy fell, and he lived 6 hours away, 4 or 6 hours away. And he fell, and Yvonne didn't hear from him for a day, and she made a number of calls. Now, she didn't call the police to go and check. She just got in a car and drove 4 hours, and sure enough, he'd fallen. So, as I said, you might be in pain, but you're not going to die. Okay, so Jody's offering to set up an emergency contact. Jody, I'm concerned about you overcommitting. And I say that because she does have a daughter that can do that for her. But again, maybe you can get the daughter's number so that if necessary, or text so that you can text her. And thank you for offering that. All right, now, 2 of the viewers are dealing with a lot of change medically this week. As I said, Jody coming off insulin, which we give her 100% kudos for, but it is difficult when you're swapping meds over because it's affecting her body differently. So that's one thing. And the other thing is Sandy is dealing with this new pump and she keeps adjusting. And by the way, I've been really impressed with her resting heart rate. It has come, I don't know if you saw that, Jody, but she's got a resting heart rate is coming right down. It's almost below 60 now. And that's just because she's been accountable for it. So I am really pleased about that. Again, I did get very close to getting angry this week about this issue about the shed, and then I just said, stop. Getting angry does not fix it. Don't get angry. It's just going to mess up your health. Just take another step. Don't have to fix it all today. You've got until this date to fix it. So you don't have to fix it all, just take another step. So don't get angry, people. It's not going to help anything, all right? Feel that feeling and then move past it, right? Get off that hamster wheel and take another step. All right, now, what I did notice was there was some fear for me about the bathtub here because the bathtub here does not have a grab rail anywhere. And that was one of my issues about coming here. So again, be prepared, not scared. If I decide to stay here, I have already got clearance from the management here that if I stay, again, I'm going to try and find you guys a picture because a picture always makes much more sense, but I probably... Yeah, of course, I've already moved it over. Anyway, so what I've got them to agree to is that if I stay here, that I can put a grab bar onto my bathtub, one of those ones that's, it's not permanently damaging the bathtub, but it just has, rubber on the side so that it is a safe thing. So, and also I can take that with me and take it home if I ever want to use the bathtub again in my home. Coping with mistakes. Anybody deal with mistakes? Any of you have any mistakes that you made this week and trying to cope with those feelings? You can imagine the feeling that I had about the mistake of not finding out about my fridge and not realizing. They thought I knew and I thought they'd emptied it. It is what it is, right? Jody saying her mistake was a day without coffee. So can you imagine, it was a mistake, but it is what it is. Getting upset about it or whatever was not going to fix the problem. Doing something with it was going to fix the problem. And with all due respect, it took me about half an hour to clean everything out and get it into the, and walk it down down to the end where my organic spin is at the end of my house. And bit by bit, and just keep emptying things out, and some of them, and then I rinsed everything out and left it in the sink, and then I will go again tomorrow, and I'll bring all those containers home, and then put them in the dishwasher and clean them up nicely. So half an hour, it was done. So we all cope with mistakes, right, on a daily basis, I would think, and what I'm trying to do is to be a lot more kind to myself about making mistakes. I woke up one day this week where I was attached to my CPAP machine, but the hose had disconnected from the big hose. So I actually was just breathing in regular air with the machine on. And luckily, I'm here to tell the tale. How many of you know that when you make a mistake, and we keep talking about this, but beating up on yourself doesn't fix anything. The mistake has been made, it's past. Remember, we can only live in the present. So it's called oops. Forgive yourself and move on. Oops is, we all make oopses. I don't know a perfect person. So how about your achievements this week? Do any of you feeling great joy because you've made an achievement this week? I definitely would have to say that my move was an achievement. I really did it quite well. Even with, getting all the stuff down from the hotel, I actually had arranged for somebody to help me, but then I realized if I saw it as an exercise program, I could get it all to my car in 2 loads. And that's what I did. Yes, Jeannie, we were talking about you climbing the stairs and winning the contest. Yes, absolutely. Great achievements. We started the program with that today. Kimmy saying, I would tell you about another fear because I saw it on the internet. Okay. You would, or you're going to? Yeah. And so very important that we get these achievements. That's why I say to people, if you're overwhelmed, if you are struggling with anxiety, write a list. All right. And the best thing in the world is to be able, as you know, I take one of these pens. Do I have one here? Yes. What are they called? Liquid chalk marker. Okay. I write, things to do on my mirrors. Because I love being able to rub it off. And every day I have a list of what I want to achieve. And when I've done it, I take a used, what do you call it? Dryer sheet. And I just rub it off the mirror when I finished it. And you understand that being able to rub it off the mirror means I have achieved something. And it's really important. I don't have a lot on the mirror today because I'm doing 2 broadcasts. There's not a lot of time over and above that. Kimmy's saying it has to do with burial vaults. Okay, Kimmy, I can't comment on anything because you're not. Okay. So Kimmy's saying, I saw that they dug up one and the vault was full of water. So are you thinking about being put into a vault? Is that why? And again, to be realistic, it's very likely that nobody was able to anticipate that. Water tables change and things happen. And so I also think about it this way. I really have very little concern about what happens to me after I'm gone, quite honestly, because I'm gone. It has absolutely no effect on me whatsoever. Do you understand? So I just want to know why this is fearful for you. It's because I understand what you read, but why are you stressing about it? Are you thinking about being put in a vault? That's the only thing I can assume. And if that is an issue for you, make sure the vault is above ground. Now, I have a little, while we're waiting for that reply from Kimmy, I have a little saving money tip that I found this week. For those of you who are living alone or don't use a lot of food, I have started just now, since I've been living in hotels and things, just buying a little pack of fresh vegetables that they cut up for dips, so it's got some carrots, it's got some broccoli, it's got some celery in it. And I literally buy that because I found it's just about enough vegetables to keep me going during the week. And it's all pre-cut. I'm not having any waste. I've just got it. Plus, I've got a dip. So and I've also started buying my fruit like that because it takes a lot more space. Kimmy's saying, I don't know why it bothers you. Well, I would not waste my time on it, Kim. Why would you give yourself, I can understand the yuck factor, but why would you concentrate on it? I mean, after I finish this broadcast, I don't think I'm going to be concentrating on a vault that was filled with water. I would just go, I have no intention of being put in a vault, but if so, let me put it above ground. Jeannie's saying, we have a prepaid funeral plan, but I lost the papers to prove it. You called and you received copies. Yeah, recently. Right. So what I'm saying is, interesting. Jody's saying, Kimmy, I'm wondering if it feels suffocating because of your asthma. I think we don't know what it is for Kimmy, right? And I got a feeling even Kimmy doesn't quite know. So, but it's interesting. But what I want the rest of us to think about is, thank you, Kimmy, first of all. Thank you for mentioning. And Kimmy's saying, I know I shouldn't think about it. Don't should. I want you to know, why are you thinking about it? Not that don't blame yourself for thinking about it, but there's a good reason why it's upsetting you. That is the lesson. The lesson is not what you saw. The lesson is that you can't get off the hamster wheel and let it go. Right? That is, like, you've got enough stress in your life. Why would you hang on to that visual? And there is some fear attached to it. All right? So, you're not letting go of the emotion of it to be able to just let it go. You're staying on that hamster wheel. So what I need you to do, if you can, Kimmy, is just think, why am I holding on to this? What am I gaining by keep repeating this in my mind? And by the way, we've now got a bunch of viewers that are going to be doing the same thing. But the trick is, it's just something we need to let go of, because it's not in your immediate future. It's not in your present. Now, if you want to use it as a lesson and go, be prepared, not scared, then go make sure your family know, if you're going to build me a vault, please do it above ground. Then it has value. All right. So I'd be looking at it and going, gosh, I'm glad I read that, because I wouldn't want that happening to me. Now, it wouldn't make any difference to you if you're dead, but I wouldn't want that happening to me. Therefore, I would want it built above ground. Yeah. So work, as Jody's saying, as we always say here, what can you do? What do you have control over? And you can choose how long you suffer with this visual. You can choose that. You can carry on with this on your mind for the rest of your life if you want to. Or you can just go and move on. That is, can you control your mind enough to do it, right? And that's what I would recommend. So, does anybody have any other things that they would like to talk about today? If so, let me know now. Goldie Hawn said the only thing that will make you happy is being happy with who you are and not who people think you are. What is the difference between those? What is the difference between who you are and what people think you are? Can I get some feedback on that? All right. Somebody once said to me that the thing to concentrate on, if you can, is integrity. And integrity is that what you think is what you say, is what you do, is what you are. In other words, if you met me tomorrow, am I the same person you imagine that I am? If so, then I have spoken to you with integrity. Does that make sense? I haven't put on a good front to impress you. I haven't done, I don't put on my, my performance face to do broadcasts. I am who I am. And if when you meet me, you meet the same person, then I've done a good job of that. Let me just see what's saying. Jody's saying, I guess it would depend on how much of your authentic self you show to others. Integrity and authenticity. Exactly, Jody. And Kimmy's saying about the problems she was dealing with, I know it needs to stop. I don't think about it every day or when I wake up, just once in a while. Okay, and just keep reminding yourself, I've learned the lesson, move on. And then it'll go away. It'll stop being, you don't give it space in your mind again. Jeannie's saying, I love the happiness, enthusiasm of my grandson who sings to me, likes to repeat words in books, enjoys learning. Yes, and we all have the ability to show happiness and enthusiasm, right? And to my mind, the reason children are happy is they play so much. How much do you play? How much of your day is spent cleaning, doing stuff, that is boring? But what I wanted to show you tonight is why it doesn't take very long to clean this place. And, I hate to say why, but I'm going to show you why. And then I'm learning the lesson of this. How about this one? The talent for being happy is appreciating and liking what you have instead of what you don't have. I think it's Zephyr that has a birthday tomorrow. Yep, I'm right. Okay. Yep. Jeannie's grandson, Zephyr. And the feeling of happiness cannot be traveled to, earned, worn, or consumed. Happiness is a spiritual experience with love, grace, and gratitude. And so I look at it, and with all that's been going on and all that's being thrown at me at the moment, do you understand that I choose to be happy for the most part? Do you understand that is my choice? And I say that because I could be really miserable right now. By the way, when I walked into my beautiful kitchen yesterday, I found out that they had ripped one of my cupboards off the wall because the electrical guy needed to get behind it for something. Plus, they had carved a new hole in one of my walls because they wanted to do something with some electrical. And, I looked at it and I just breathed and I just went, it is what it is. It'll be fixed. However, I got really smart yesterday, I think. And one of the ways I got really smart was one of the things I noticed was when I lived in that house, whenever I used the microwave, the lights in the house all dimmed. Now, that tells me they're both on the electrical, on the light circuit, and they shouldn't be. It's meant to have a dedicated line. So I said to the electrician, can you please speak to the people there, because I would like that to come up to code. I want that to have its own private line. Can you understand? It's like, hey, it's all exposed. They just got to drill 2 holes. Yeah, maybe it takes an hour to put that in. And so I want to get done. By the way, I made a call to my insurance guy and said, I just want to let you know, I have told them to let me know about this. And the guy said to me, Sal, our job is to bring it up to code. So guess what? You're probably going to get that paid for by me. And I went, that would be good. And the only thing that so far that's not going to get updated, I still don't 100% know they're going to send me what they're actually going to be doing. But, you know, it was like the furnace. And I'm going, the electrical guy said he wanted to turn on the furnace to test the system, the system. About that, he said, Sal, they just need to test that it's all working. We will come back in and scrub the whole system. And then I said to him, will you be replacing the filter on that furnace of mine? Not the hot water, but the furnace. That's right. And he said, yeah. I said, good, because I don't like the one that I have. I don't think it does the job properly. And so, you know, there are going to be a lot of little things that get upgraded just to bring things up to being safe. And, you know, for example, that microwave issue is pretty important. The other thing I wrote to them about, and guess what? I wrote to them and I said, by the way, the reason that I believe that, you know, that fan, every time you turned the light on, the fan came on. I don't want those two hooked in together again, even if I have to pay for it to be separate. Why? I would never feel safe again. Does that make sense? I would never feel safe every time I turn on a light. That fan would start, and that's where the fire was. So I said to them, this, you know, can we please wire them differently? Now, if I don't ask, I won't get. Will I have to pay extra? Maybe. And is that more stress? Maybe. But maybe the insurance will pay for it. Because they should be. A fan should not be on all the time that the light is on, especially when you live where I live, where it gets pretty dark in the winter. So to me, what I'm learning to do is, and what I'm begging you all to do, is ask for what you want. There is a 50% chance you will get it, and that would make you happy. I also believe something that we all think about, which is, sorry, I'm just trying to get this quote that I want here. Henry Ward Beecher said, the art of being happy lies in the power of extracting happiness from common things. Extracting happiness from common things. Do you get a feeling of happiness most of the time? Are you happy most of the time? Or are you feeling frustrated or angry or overwhelmed or out of control or whatever? You see, I do everything I can now to feel happy most of the time. I am constantly working on, that doesn't please me. What do I need to do to make that happy? Does that make sense? You know, I will look at my setup here. This is the first time I've tried to set up to do a broadcast. Does it make me happy? Not 100%. It's a bit messy. So what do I know? I need to do some things to make it better for me. All right, so it's more organized. By the way, I found out that the table I have was not big enough to hold the normal support that I have for my laptop. So I'm actually working with a cardboard box under my laptop. It works. Not perfect, but it's the right height, and I don't have to look down or up, too much. It's the camera is at eye level. So that's pretty good, but it's like all the bits around me. I want to find a little better way of organizing it all. Jody's saying, when I accepted responsibility for my own happiness, my perspective and quality of life improved. Yes, I spent so much of my time waiting for other people to bring me happiness. Only when I became accountable did it happen. And I think, as Jody says, it's a really important thing to realize. When you can realize it, your life changes. It's not for somebody else to make you happy. It's your job to be happy. If you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to make anybody else happy. George Sand said, there is only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. So think about that. It's not just people that you need to love and be loved. It is everything. How many of you know that making latte makes me happy? And I can make it without my latte machine because I've had 3 weeks of practicing. And I thought I might show you how I do it while we do the house tour. Because, it's like, I haven't got my machine. Can I call for my machine? You bet I can. But do I want it now and maybe have to move it later? Not really. Jeannie, a great quote, says, optimism is so good. Being optimistic with one's life is a life changer. Now, and I want to go back to Kimmy, all right? So if Kimmy is using, she's got all these bad things going on for her, with her asthma and everything. I can understand that she may be having, because like attracts like, right? If Kimmy is scared of dying, then you understand the whole issue about the vault she will attract that sort of thing. Why? Her mind is on, what if I die alone? And then, suddenly other things like that become into their reality. Let me give you an example of that. For those of you who ever bought a car, I can remember when my very first car that I owned was a second-hand car. But the first new car I ever owned was a little yellow Fiat. And I hadn't seen too many yellow cars until I bought the yellow Fiat. Once I bought a yellow car, I noticed how many other yellow cars there were on the road. Not many, but way more than I thought. And so it's called the law of attraction. We attract to ourselves the things. Yes, Kimmy's saying you can't depend on other people to make you happy. You need to be happy yourself, but it's a learned skill, all right? Because I think to a large extent we are taught to expect others to bring us happiness. And it's not something you will find out if you haven't already. You'll find out that doesn't happen. Okay, happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy. There are going to be stresses in your life, but it's your choice whether you let it affect you or not. All right, that's Valerie Bertinelli. And, that is the whole thing. Have I got a lot of things changing in my life, as Jeannie does as well, and as we all have? Whether I give them mental space is up to me. And if I do, how much mental space? Could I concentrate the whole time on the shed? Yeah, I choose not to. I give it a little bit of space every day so I can take one more step. But after that, it's gone. I'm talking about it today because it was part of the subject matter, but it's gone, right? Jeannie's saying my first car was an orange AMC. Yes, it's amazing how. Yeah, and Kimmy's saying the same here about that thing. Once you buy a yellow car, you see other ones. All of a sudden, I see cars similar to my car, and they are orange. You see? How about that? So, thousands of. Just hold on a second. How about this one? Happiness radiates like the fragrance from a flower and draws all good towards you. How many of you know that part of the reason that people are going out of their way to help me is I'm a nice person? Right? I mean, every single thing that goes right here, I am busy letting the people who rent me this place know how happy I am. You know, like all the stuff that they've got in here, how it makes my life easier and how much I appreciate it. And so, you know, you look at it and you go, if we are happy, we make other people happy. What is it? Smile and the world smiles with you, cry and you cry alone. And Jeannie's saying, you deserve good things. Well, I think you do too, Jeannie. And I think Kimmy deserves good things. And I think Jody does. You see, I think we all do. But thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. But you understand that we all deserve good things. And for the most part, I ask for them too. I am not unhappy if I don't get them, but I do make sure, and that's why I wanted to tell you how many things I have been asking for help with, and most of them they have said yes to. If I hadn't bothered to ask, they might not have done. See, that's the point, that's the lesson here. And the Buddha said, thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of a candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared, right? So I am pretty certain that you also know that misery can spread like a cancer. Now, it's not that we shouldn't discuss bad things, we should, but we should give it not a whole lot of weight. And happiness is just part of that. You know, it's all part of the ebb and flow. So if I give the good stuff way too much, attention, then I will have less to be able to handle the bad stuff. So to me, it's all about keeping your life in a sort of track that, okay, that's a bad thing. It doesn't have, I don't spend a lot of time on that. That's a good thing. Yeah, great, but not for too much, you know, and I just try to keep myself in balance. I wonder if that makes sense. So when I came here, the first feeling I got was, wow, that is a big upgrade on where I was. Now, the upgrade was, it was elegant. Do you know what I mean? It looked, quite honestly, in some ways, it looked a lot like my place. And I think that's what made me happy. But it is like a 5-star hotel, a big suite in a 5-star. And, you know, I'm quite happy living like that. And if you had this as a hotel room, you would go, wow, you know, and you'd be taking pictures to send to your friends. And so I'm happy with it. Do I need to move? Not necessarily. That's an option now, not a have to. Whereas living in the hotel, I knew I had to move from there. Right? Different story. I had to move from there. Why? No kitchen. Now, if I had to live there, I would have done a few other things. I would have brought in, a new toaster oven or something, make it possible to cook. And, you know, it's like, I need to bake bread. It's part of my life to bake bread. So there you go. I'll be able to do that again. But at the moment, I'm busy working on what am I going to bake bread in. You know what you remember that tiny little slow cooker that I bought? That thing is so cute. And you know why it's so cute? It's a really nice portion control. I can fill that up with vegetables and a few, throw in some noodles in there or whatever. And it's wonderful because it's just the right amount. And I can also bake myself one bun. It takes a few hours, but I can bake one bun in it. I just make the dough and I drop it in there and I let it just slow cook. All right, I'm glad to hear that it's working for you, Kimmy. We're just about to stop. So, what was it that you needed to hear today that will help your life? As you know, I'm a great believer in knowing that I said something that was of value to you today. And, what I have to say is that I probably have been challenged more in the last month than I've been. It's like, really? I don't want to say what more can I handle because I don't want any more necessarily. I did have a moment yesterday when I was about to crawl into bed where I thought the greatest luxury for me is going to be the day that I am back in my house and I don't have any of those decisions anymore. Yeah. But you know that I am totally aware that I choose to put my life into little boxes, little compartmentalization, which is if it's 9 o'clock, everything else stops and it's time to veg. I don't want to think about anything else. Now, if any ideas come to me while I'm vegging, I have a notepad with me where I write things down, but I don't deal with them then. All right, Jeannie's saying, we never ask that anymore. Yeah, I know, Jeannie. You learn not to ask. Could it get any worse? No, I don't want to know. Thank you. Jody's saying, I loved all the advice, all the important reminders of awareness. Yeah, and that is what I want you, but the whole point of this broadcast is about feelings, right? You are going to feel scared every day, but if you don't check out why you are scared, you won't be learning. Remember, my question to Kimmy was, Kimmy, what was it about what you heard or saw that made you scared? Right? Because there is something in here that is upsetting. Right? There's something that is triggering in your brain. And it is our job to find out what that is. All right? Now, is it that Kimmy fears that happening to her? Is it that, oh, that's disgusting? Is it whatever? It doesn't matter what it is. There's no right or wrong. But if Kimmy can find out why that's sticking in her brain, she can get rid of it. Because then she can go, yeah, that's really not in my life. I don't need to worry about that. And then she can let it go. But somewhere it opened up a door and that image stayed with her. And Kimmy's saying, all right, same for me, Jody, all the advice is good. Well, as you know, it's just my opinion. But I deal with this on a daily basis. Can you see that the reason I ask you, why do you fear that? Why? Because we've got choice, and the choices are normally pretty simple. Love or fear. I think it was Dr. Jerry Jampolsky that said love is letting go of fear. If you want to be happy, you need to let go of the fear. Can you imagine trying to walk up a ladder and you don't let this bottom foot go? You cannot go up. So you need to let something go to be able to get out of it. Does that visual help you, Kim? You know, to get up a ladder, you have to keep letting go of this foot and trusting this one. And so I look at it and go, whenever there is a fear for me, it's like I need to really look at that and what can I do? And the rest is what can I let go of? Kimmy's saying, for 2 years, I have lost a lot of friends, family, and animals. That could be what is making me think of that. Right. And you can now choose to be sad and grieve that and spend another year grieving it if you need to. Or you can say, good, now I know why it's stuck. It's about loss. And I'm so glad that I did the work to find that out, because now I can put it in the right box in my brain. I don't need to be opening it up again. Does that make sense, Kimmy? You see, if you ask yourself the right questions, you will be able to, it's called processing, right? You're able to process it and realize there's a reason why you were triggered by it. It's not a maybe, there is a reason why you were triggered by it. And you need to process that reason and work it out. And that's what we do here, all right, is to help you try and process it. And not just you, Kimmy, I process stuff every day. Jody processes stuff. We all process stuff every day. And the more we do it and do it well, the happier we become. And that is what I would wish for all of you. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here and I will be talking to you later. And for those of you who've been here with me, thank you so much for taking the time. And thank you for helping other people. This is the most important thing. Your situations that you bring up help other people understand their stuff and help other people process their stuff. And for that, I am so grateful. And so this is DearMamaSal saying, I'm going to repeat what Jody just wrote. She said, thank you, Sal. Thank you for everything, everyone for being here and participating. It was a pleasure to have your company. Take care. Please hit the thumbs up button as you exit the broadcast, all right? And Kimmy's saying, thank you, everybody. Have a nice day and a great weekend and hugs and God bless. So everybody choose to be happy by being aware of your feelings and dealing with them, good and bad. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here. Bye-bye for now.